All right, folks, this is the last weekend before the election, so I kind of want to jump to how you guys are going to act on election day. I lived through, I guess my first election of memory was really when Bill Clinton took out HW, and it seemed pretty much civil then. It wasn't as bad as it is now. When Clinton won re-election, it was a little bit more with Bob Dole, but it was still civil. They were both politicians. They shook hands. They didn't enrage their people to think that an election was stolen because they lost and all this other stuff. No. When George W. Bush won, that's when things started getting ugly, and we started having the celebrations. So when we finally had the results of that election after all the Supreme Court and all this stuff, it just created like this bitterness, and Republicans were way too happy to just rub it in the Democrats' face, and the Democrats were angry because they felt an election was stolen from them. Then when W won re-election again, it was gloves were off. It was just anger. The vitriol of the happiness was even more, and the anger was even more. Which leads us into our problems today, because after that, we got Obama. Are you guys starting to see the cycle that I'm talking about here? How every election, when the winners don't act right, it creates something far more worse than the other side of, as far as like the anger and the passion and the sports atmospheres for election, and that stays with us through the actual process of getting stuff done in Congress. So Obama won, and then Obama won re-election, and I'm not sure, and some people call it racism reactionary response. Some folks say it's because of all the spending and the liberal culture in Washington. I know we can break it down in another segment about the Obama era. I have my own personal feelings about it, beyond just having the first black president. But I'm just simply talking about how people act after the election. There is absolutely no reason for anybody to run around waving their campaign flags in other people's faces after the election. There is no reason for someone to say, shut up, my side won. That means they can do whatever they want. There is absolutely no reason for violence because your side lost, or for bitterness, or for losing friends, or for losing family. But here we are, because we don't know how to act. So when did politics become a sport? When did it become winner take all, and the representatives only represent their political party or people who supported them, and not all the people? When did it become about promising things like an infrastructure bill, to fix the problems with healthcare, and to do all this stuff for everyone, and then once you get in office, you're just trying to support your base and do all the base things? No, we can sit there and break down issues, but that's not the problem. Our politicians aren't taking care of issues as it is. They're just taking care of themselves so they can win re-election. Let that sink in for a moment. All of this passion you put into these candidates with the signs and running around, and he or she's gonna change the world, and they get in office, and you're just left saying, why didn't you do any of that? Oh no, it's the other side's fault. The other side took over Congress and the House, and that's why nothing's getting done. That's why the deficit's so high. Quit making excuses. That's what I'm sick of. Hold these folks accountable. So no matter how the election goes, whether Trump wins another term or Biden is able to come in and take over, hold these folks accountable. I mean, your shirts and your hats and your buttons don't mean a damn thing if the politicians aren't doing anything to help all the people. See, because we don't live in separate tribes, so if one side fails, we all fail. There is no fail-safe for the dam. There is no, like, red states and blue states. It affects everyone eventually. There's absolutely no excuses for all the stuff that's happened in what's supposed to be a lame duck session for this past year. There's no excuses whatsoever. We hired these folks to do a job. We didn't hire them to campaign for 4 years. Now, I'm saying this now, and I'm going to say it again in 2024. Imagine that. Can you hold your politicians accountable for what they did after they got in office without the whataboutism to point back to the last president from the other side? Can you do that? See, this is the problem with America. We've conditioned ourselves into putting on our jerseys and pretending that our side won, they can do whatever they want. That's the problem. That's a serious issue because guess what? They're going to do whatever they want. Yeah, you can say, oh, politicians are dirty, they all cheat, they all steal. Why are you excusing it? Why have we just laid down in the middle of 95 and let the cars run over us over and over and over again? See, we have to take our country back. We can't just sit there and play these personality politics and pretend like these politicians aren't people. We can't pretend that they're demigods or they're demons. They're human beings. And they have ears, so they listen. And they'll definitely listen when they realize that whatever they're doing isn't popular. Yes, they'll listen to you. Write a letter to your congressman. Write a letter to your president. Don't just pretend they're with another party that they don't care about you. They care about your vote. Hold that against them. And if they write you some nasty letter back or they ignore you, make some noise. I know you can make some noise. You can make some noise for your politician. You can make some noise for your celebrity. You can make some noise when you're angry about something. Let's make some noise for something of substance. Let's actually do something. With that said, there's only one thing left to do if you're mad about racial injustice, if you're mad about them not doing a stimulus to help people that are unemployed during the pandemic, if you're mad about kids in cages, if you're mad about a do-nothing Congress, if your congressman has done nothing except for just go on TV and become more famous, if you're sick of COVID and you want to see some sense of normal come back with a real plan to combat this, the answer's simple. Vote. If you don't vote, you're waving a white flag. That's what you're doing. That's my soapbox for this week. It comes down to one simple word. Vote. My name is Cal Finding King. Thank you for attending my Jeep Chat.